Hey, what is going on everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and quite recently I ended up getting into the world of Taiko no Tatsujin. Now, I ended up picking up the games on Switch, and because I wanted the actual drumming feel for this game, I ended up picking up a couple of the drum controllers. Now, I was also very quickly introduced to a mod that you can perform on these controllers, which removes the foam insert that comes with the stock drum and replaces it with a piece of wood that has been cut to shape to perfectly fit in here. Not only it helps with accuracy, but it also makes this controller feel more similar to the arcade controller itself, as opposed to just the stock at-home console drum controller. Now, since I got a couple of the drums, I also got a couple of the mods here as well too, and figured I would show you all how you can install it pretty easily. It's not too hard to do. You are just going to need some time on your hands. You're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver to open up the controller itself, and of course you're going to need the mod as well as a little bit of patience. Now, for this version of the mod, I end up picking up the wood insert that City Side Gig over on Etsy ends up making. I've only seen one other variation of this, which is available on eBay in a 3D printed form. I have not used that one, but if it's a solid piece of kit, I'm sure it'll work fine. On top of that, this has only been tested by both of these sellers as well as myself. It's only been tested with the Nintendo Switch version of the drum. So if you're using the PS4 drum, keep in mind this tutorial is really just covering the Switch one. The PS4 drum might be the same, but I don't have it here to test. On top of that, this is only meant for the official Hori branded Switch drum. So if you're using a third-party drum, this is probably not going to work for this, since this is cut to shape. Now, getting into the drum here is pretty easy. First of all, this should go without saying, but I'm going to say it anyways, make sure this is disconnected. We're not going to do this while we are having this connected to a console. You're going to want to then remove the stands gently from the bottom of the drum itself. Once everything is removed, there's only 5 screws that are going to get you in. These are smaller Phillips head size screws, so using something like a Phillips 1 screwdriver bit should get you in there just fine. Once all 5 screws have been removed, you're just going to want to separate the red plastic bottom from the drum itself gently. Just be careful because there's several hookups right here, and you're going to need to now start disconnecting these ribbons. Yours might even be keyed as well too. I noticed from the factory, all of mine seems to have some Sharpie on them noting where they should go and how they should be hooked up, and you can really start with whichever side you want to. Here I started with the bigger ribbon cable here, which is easy enough as long as you use some force. Next up, just go to the other side here, and there's going to be 3 more connectors. You're going to want to disconnect each one of them. Now, the middle one is going to be easy enough. You're not going to mix that up, but the ones on the left and right have to go on the left and right. Those are for the specific drum sensors. So make sure you don't mix those up when you're reconnecting. Now, here we go. Removing the top part of the drum cover itself, you're going to want to go kind of gentle at this, but also be firm with it as well too. And I will say this is probably the, I quite literally mean it, most painful part of this modification, because you are going to need to use some force here. So what you can do here is start from the bottom, and you can start at either the left or right. Here I'm starting on my left side, and you're going to want to just remove the pieces like that, the rubber pieces, and then you're going to want to alternate. So when you remove one on the left, you're going to want to remove the adjoining one on the right. And then you're just going to need to go back and forth gently but firmly on each side of the drum until everything is released. Now be careful, because you could also see a green ribbon or sensor right there, so you're not going to want to mess that up. You're not going to want to wreck it or anything. You're not going to want to pull on that. We're really just working on the drum itself and getting all of these removed. By the time you got the last 2 here to remove, both these should come off quite easily, because the top part of the drum should be loose enough. And once that is removed, you can just take it off completely as shown here. Now you'll want to be careful because there's going to be the actual sensor pad right there. Don't just go completely crazy taking it off, but you're going to want to move it back, and you're going to see the foam that comes with the stock drum itself. At this point, you now want to grab your mod. Right here, this is pretty simple, but you're going to want to be gentle with it. Simply lift this part up, remove the foam insert the mod, and then you can start working backwards. You don't want to pull on this part by any means because it is still connected to that ribbon. And the foam piece, well, you can do what you want to at that point, but you're probably never going to need it again. So awesome. Now again, we can continue working backwards, and just like before, this is going to be the other painful portion of this modification, just because you're really going to have to use your fingers here. Now, what helps with me is kind of getting everything back in place here, just getting all of these into the holes, just kind of getting it there as shown. And then at that point, you want to work backwards by getting everything grooved back in. So all the pieces that are attaching this to the actual plastic itself, you can kind of start from the top and then work your way down the sides, and you're going to want to just alternate. So when you end up inserting one on the left, you're going to want to then do the adjoining one on the right and then go down, and just keep doing that until it is all reassembled. Now, awesome. We can start reconnecting the cables for the drum itself back over to the PCB that we had disconnected from a few minutes ago. Now, there's this set of wires, and you'll see it's kind of in a clump of 3. Now, thankfully, these are keyed, so they can't be inserted upside down. And the middle one, it's going to be obvious where that one goes. However, the ones that are on the left and right, you have to realign them and make sure they are aligned with the left and right on the drum itself. This is pretty easy to trace back if you need to. Just take the set of wires that is more on the left side of the drum, make sure it connects to the left, and then take the one that's more on the right side and connect it to the right. That's about all you need to do there. This really long ribbon connector here, I had a little bit of difficulty getting it connected back in. You just have to make sure it's aligned properly, but once you're able to get it reinserted just fine, you should be all good to go. And that's about where the hard parts of this mod complete. From here, you can just continue reassembling the drum. You just need to put these two pieces together, take your 5 screws, and screw it all back in. And at that point, you are done with the mod. Congratulations. So there we go. That's all there is to it here. Quite a different mod from what I normally showcase here on the channel, but you know what? This is an awesome game. This is an awesome controller, and this is an awesome mod that I can without a doubt recommend anybody who has one of these controllers does. And if you don't have one of these controllers and you're thinking of picking one of these drum controllers up, I highly recommend getting this modification. It really does make a difference once you start playing with it all installed. Anyways, that's about it for this video here. This is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, a like would absolutely be appreciated. If you didn't like it, a dislike is fine as well too.